Hello friends, Charlie Murphy here. Thank you for choosing my video, playing another session of 2-5 No Limit 6-Max games on Ignition. Upper left-hand table, get a min-raise under the gun. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet from middle position with Queen Jack suited. 3-betting about 10-11% there against that small size under the gun. 3-betting 7s plus suited broadways, Ace Jack plus King Queen, and a couple of suited wheel aces. Lower left-hand table, opening Ace-4 suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Get 4-bet by the under-the-gun opening player. And I can go ahead and fold there, even if I think he's sufficiently aggressive. No need to defend a 4-bet with Queen Jack suited. Lower left-hand table, my cutoff open gets 3-bets small by the big blind. Gets a little over 3x. I can defend a lot there against that size. I don't know that this guy's sufficiently aggressive to start calling with dominated aces, though, at the same time. Could go either way, kind of close. If I knew this guy was aggressive, but he hasn't 3-bet yet, I think it'd be a bit closer. I'm going to go ahead and fold. Kind of on the cusp. Could go either way. Or left-hand table, a rec lips under the gun, small blind completes. I'll check my big blind with King 6. No need to isolate that light. Go ahead and check range on the flop. Upper right-hand table, got a 3x open from the cutoff, who's playing about half-stacked button calls. I'm in the big blind with Ace-9 suited, trying to decide if there's any merit in 3-betting this. It's pretty close. I think if he was deeper stacked than a fish, I would go ahead and do it to try to squeeze out at least one of the players or maybe pick up the pot pre-flop. Since he's half-stacked, I don't want to turn this hand into a hand that has to raise fold. I think there's more value in just calling and playing post-flop instead. And on the 10-3 deuce two-tone board with no flush draw or backdoor flush draw, I will just check fold even against that small bet. Upper right-hand table, going to open 5s on the button using the 44% range. Lost the recreational player, so I'm going to get rid of that table and look for greener pastures as well. Upper right-hand table, again going to open, this time from the cutoff with King 6 suited using the 28% range. Lower right-hand table will open Jack 6 suited from the button using the 44% range. Got called by the big blind who checks to me, so I'll go ahead and range bet in position. Don't have a whole lot going for this hand except for a backdoor gut shot on the ace queen 3 two-tone board. But I suppose he has a lot of hands with no equity himself that have to check fold, which he does. Lower right-hand table, opening Queen 7 suited from the cutoff, using a 28% range. Again opening the lower right-hand table, this time with 6s in middle position, using a 21% range. Got 3-bet in position, a large size. He kicks me up to 4250 from 1250. Going to go ahead and fold 6 out of position. Could be very tight against those in position 3-bets, especially the larger ones. 9-7 suited under the gun, a little bit looser than I tend to open. Go ahead and fold that one. Need something like 10-9 suited to open there. Sound like a little bit of a fishy type player here on the upper left-hand table, in that he's calling raises from middle position. He has limp before as well. 32-18 with some 3-bets doesn't scream fish right off the bat, but the calling in the odd position and the fact that he has limp makes me a little bit suspicious. Upper right-hand table, get a cutoff min raise, a button 3-bet. I'm in the small blind with ace-jack. That's going to be cold 4-bet or fold, probably to stack off with jacks or better against a jam. A hand like ace-jack is just a little bit too far down my hierarchy to be involved, even as a cold 4-bet bluff. So I'll go ahead and fold it. Looking to mix in hands like ace-queen offsuit, maybe pocket 10s and some suited broadways. To put in the cold 4-bet range there. Stuff that has good removal to continuation range and also plays pretty nicely post-flop should somebody decide to call my 4-bet as opposed to jam. Lower left-hand table, we're three-handed. I'm going to open blind on blind with ace-7 suited, using a 45% range. Might be a recreational player there. Used a 3x open. He's not buying in completely full. He's pretty close to 100 blinds, so I'm not quite sure of it yet, but we'll watch and see what he does. Lower left-hand table, we're also three-handed there. Blind on blind, and get a 3x open into me. I'm going to go ahead and defend for a call with 5 deuce suited. Decent flop from me, 4-3-3 two-tone, giving me an open-ender. He checks to me, so I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at it with my open-ended straight draw. Get called. Turn is a 3. Now, I've got good removal to quads. Like some ace-high type stuff can really be blasted off. I'm not sure what hands I want to be putting into a triple barrel here line. I guess I want to have good removal to the quads, as well as, some overpair type stuff, which could be his entire range. I'm not entirely sure, so I'm just going to go ahead and check this one back and reevaluate the river. Upper left-hand table, got a 3x open on the button from a player that's kind of fishy and active. Going to go ahead and call. He's sitting there on about 60 blinds deep. I'll call with my ace-10 and check range on the flop. I get bet into for half pot here. I'm going to go ahead and just fold my 5 high as opposed to trying to get cute and do any kind of bluff raise. He goes ahead and he bets half pot. I think if I had a spade, I'd continue there with some kind of backdoor flush draw. We'll just go ahead and fold ace-10 without. Lower left-hand table, get a 2.4x open from the button. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet queen-9 suited. 3-betting very aggressively there, about 15%. Lower right-hand table, opening ace-jack from the cutoff using a 28% range. Lower left-hand table, opening 6 from the button using the 44% range. Lower right-hand table, the big blind calls and checks to me, so I'll go ahead and range bet him small in position. Comes along for a call on the 6-6-3 two-tone board. Turn is an offsuit 4. I'm going to go ahead and check back. Be looking to bet my 6x hands, my 3s full, my 4s full, my straights. Or some various draws like 7x or spade draw. Lower right-hand table, flop the boat, 7-7-6 two-tone. Going to go ahead and range bet small here after he checks. Upper left-hand table, get a 3x open from the button. I 3-bet my small blind with ace-4 suited. 3-betting 14-15%, including essentially all my suited aces. Let's see here. I get a flat call from the in-position player, the big blind, the lower left-hand table. I'm going to go ahead and try to shovel some more money in there. I'm going to overbet or check. Overbet my 6s, 4s full, my straights, my 7x hands for the most part. Lower left-hand table, he bets into me very small. I'm going to go ahead and hero call with ace-high on this low board that stayed low. Paying off some pairs there for cheap value with some of the time, but such a good price, have to be good so rarely. I just don't want to be folding, especially low boards that stay low that are even more bluffy as players float with all kinds of random overcards that whiff out. Could also bluff raise there with less showdown value. I think with the ace-high, it's probably better to just take the showdown for that cheap price. Lower left-hand table, three-handed, opening blind on blind with queen-deuce suited using a 45% range. Got called by the big blind. Going to check range to the big blind. We have a good hand. Ace-8, deuce, two-tone, giving me bottom pair and the flush draw. Going to go ahead and check call that small flop bet. Continue checking on the turn. Lower left-hand table, 2.5x open from the cutoff. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet my small blind with pocket kings. 3-betting 10-11% in that spot. Lower left-hand table, he goes ahead and continues stabbing, stabs about a third pot again. I've got a ton of equity, just going to continue check calling, trying to hit something like my third deuce, which should be very concealed. Continue checking in flow and look to put in a check raise here if he continues stabbing. He does not, unfortunately, but I think my play is okay. Lower right-hand table, I get 4-bet by the cutoff. Obviously going to be continuing with pocket kings here. Against regs when they 4-bet here, I'm going to be shipping all in with my kings, queens, and my ace-king. Be calling with jacks through nines, a few suited Broadway combos, and aces as a trap. Lower left-hand table, opening deuces on the button using a 44% range. Upper left-hand table, we have a 2.5x open from what is the middle position player. King 10 is normally a call. We got a couple other players in there, but at least one of them is kind of fishy. I'm going to come in for the cheap price, looking to hit something real strong. And my king shove got through, took the pot down pre-flop, picked up the 4-bet. Lower left-hand table, open an ace-3, blind on blind, using the 45% range. Upper left-hand table, check in range there after I called my big blind. I do have top pair on the king 7-7 two-tone board. Lower left-hand table, opening king 8 from the button, using a 44% range. Upper left-hand table, I get min bet into 5 into just about 50. I'm going to just treat that like a fancy check. My plan was, prior to facing a bet, I was just going to go ahead and lead out for about a third pot. Just going to go ahead and pop that up to about 20. Lower right-hand table, 3x open from the big from the button. I'm in the big blind with ace-9 suited. Can go ahead and 3-bet very aggressively, about 15% there, including like any, ace-9 plus, any 2 cards 9 or higher that are suited, pocket 6s plus, a bunch of suited connectors, ace-jack plus, king-queen, a few wheel aces. Let's see. Got my 3-bet through. In the upper left-hand table, I got called in position by that fishy type player. And the original player also called the bet here. So we got about 107 in that pot on the river. River's a nice blank card, an offsuit ace, really doesn't change a whole lot of anything. Lower left-hand table, opening queen 5 suited from the button using the 44% range. Trying to decide if there's merit in betting to get called by a worse king here. He's pretty fishy, but he's also pretty spazzy. I actually think I like the idea of checking to see if he decides to bluff me here instead of actually betting. Could be pretty close. I think if my kicker was stronger, I might just bet out to kind of get value from a worse king. As played, I think I like check a little bit better. Now, he's a recreational player. He bets half pot. He absolutely can have a 7 here a lot of the time. But for that size, against a suspected recreational player, I will not be folding, assuming the 5-seat does not do anything too wacky. He raises, I'm obviously folding very quickly. However, he does not. I'm going to go ahead and hero call down. Hope he doesn't have a 7. He's got jacks. I have no idea why he decided to bet jacks for half pot there. But that kind of shit is why I'm not going to get too in my own head about calling off these half pot bets, going he could have something real strong there. They bet hands they shouldn't bet all the time, and don't have enough hands that really have are true value bets when they do that. So you got to call down. That same rec limps the cutoff on the upper left-hand table. I complete the small blind with king 8 suited and check range on the flop. Against a pot-sized lead on the king 10-10 rainbow board from the big blind, I'm out of the way whether or not the imposition player calls. Lower left-hand table, open an ace-9 from the button using the 44% range. I'm going to try to shuffle this table out. Three-handed, they both seem pretty reggy. not filling in with fish, we will look for a new one. Upper right-hand table doesn't seem like it's got a whole lot going for it either, so I'm going to try to get rid of that one. Lower left-hand table is very clearly a recreational player there in the 5 seat as he sat down with 30 blinds and open limped. Upper left-hand table, blind on blind, small blind tries to limp. I'm going to pop him up pretty aggressively, something like my button open range, about 44%, including my pocket pairs like 6s. This guy's probably also a fish, plain short stacked. Got some limps on his record. The limp raises me. Although I'm getting a pretty good price, only limp raises me about 3x out of position. Definitely going to call up my pocket pairs in this situation. Fairly clean board, 7-7-3 rainbow. Well, he goes and blasts for pot, so I think I can actually fold and just get involved with my very strong hands. I don't need to call down with some of the more marginal pairs. The smaller bet, he puts me to left much tougher decisions, forcing me to continue with those pairs, which can get me into some dicey or tough spots on later streets. Upper right-hand table, opening the cutoff with Jack-7 suited, using a 28% range. Expected fish on the upper right-hand table in the 3 Cs. He's sitting on about 75 blinds and not topping up. Upper left-hand table can open King-5 suited from the cutoff using the 28% range. Some weaker players in the blinds wouldn't mind getting involved with here. Got called in position by the button and by a shorter stacked rec in the big blind. Sandwich between 2 players. I'm going to go ahead and check range on the flop. I got a backdoor flush draw and an overcard on the 9-7-3 rainbow board. Button quickly checks back after we check around to him. Turn is a deuce, putting a backdoor flush draw up there. Low board, probably not a big part of it in anybody. You know, people probably have mostly missed that board. I was going to stab at it if I had the chance. Instead, he leads into me. The rec does for half pot. I'm going to go ahead and just fold without any real equity. Would have started putting some moves on that pot if everyone showed weakness and checked around to me for a second time, but haven't gotten led into on the turn without equity. I think I can just go ahead and fold, especially since he used a little bit larger size than he really should. Using a half pot size in a multi-way pot where in a smaller size is really more appropriate. Mhm. Upper left-hand table, we get a 2.5x open from the button. Folds to my big blind where I've got king-queen offsuit. Going to go ahead and put in a 3-bet. This player is new to the table. No reason to know anything about his tendencies. He seems like a standard reg based on stack size and bet size. So I'm going to 3-bet a standard 14-15% range, including hands like ace, jack, king, queen. Lower right-hand table, suspected recreational player. He either limped or posted from the cutoff. Either way, I'm completing my small blind with queen 9. Going to check range on the flop. Have top pair on the queen 10 deuce two-tone board. Checks around. Turn is a king. I've got second pair. I'm just going to stab at it small. Can get value from 10x, random jack x hands, random heart hands, random diamond hands. And I took it down. Lower left-hand table, recreational player, open limps, middle position. I'm in the cutoff with Jack 8 suited. I normally isolate limpers with something like my middle position range, but I've got a couple of other fish in the pot there in position. They haven't been terribly aggressive with 3-betting. I want to play as many hands as possible against the fish, so I'm going to go ahead and expand my range ever so slightly and include a hand like Jack 8 suited, which is really just outside of standard ISO in this position for me anyway. And no sooner do I explain my rationale for deviating and playing a few extra hands than do I get chips piled on me from the button's 3-bet, which I will, of course, be folding to. Lower right-hand table, get a recreational player limps under the gun. A player on a full stack limps behind, not necessarily a fish for limping behind on a full stack. Could just have something speculative like a small pair or suited connector. I, however, am in the cutoff with a hand like king 10 suited, which I am going to be ISOing. Do something like my under the gun range here, about 18%. Once again, I've got fish in the table here. The 6-5 suited really a little loose for middle position. I did just get 3-bet in position. Go ahead and fold that one and not expand my range again. Could go either way with it, though. The in-position player on the button, it's kind of fishy. It may not be a true fish. Seems like a weak reg. The small blind player who's a fish is not all that deep, which means the speculative hands like 6-5 suited are not nearly as good as they otherwise would be if he was full stacked. As such, I'm going to go ahead and not expand my range that time, but it's pretty close. I don't hate it if you decide you want to do that there just to play more hands with the fish. Upper right-hand table, get a 3x open from the button. I'm in the big blind with 10-9. I will defend that for a call. Check range on the flop. Okay flop for my hand. King, Jack, Deuce monotone, or I've got a gut shot and a weak flush card with my 10 of spades. He goes ahead and bets 1/3. I'm going to go ahead and defend there with my equity. Another decent card for me on the turn, an offsuit 8, give me an open ender to go with my weak 4 card flush draw. And the gut shot is now an open ender, of course, as well. He goes ahead and continues barreling. Now, I don't really want to be calling here, as I'm just not sure that my straight outs are ever good in the first place. You know, the queen can put me up against better straights, or I could be up against flop flush all along. And my 10 high spade is not that great. It's also maybe a bit tricky to get paid. My bluff raise type hands here are going to be naked ace of spades that block the nut flush and also have me drawing to the nut flush as well. My nut flushes could be in the check call range and decided on the flop to go in the turn raise as well. Weaker flushes mostly be check called another time to get to the river. So just go ahead and check fold here, given that my equity is not very robust and I'm not quite sure where I'm at. Lower left-hand table, a short stack rec min raises the button. Small blind player, who also seems to be in the fishy side, comes along. I'm going to call with my 10-9 suited as opposed to squeezing because I don't want to get myself committed against the 20 blind player. Lower left-hand, upper right-hand table, opening 10-6 suited, blind on blind, using the 45% range. Now I get 3-bet by imposition player. He's been passive, hasn't 3-bet quite yet. Let me think about what I want to do here. I normally have to defend very wide blind on blind against the 3-bet just because it's such a loose formation. He used a little bit larger size, 3.5x, which is reasonable, and he's also been very passive. Although it really hasn't been enough opportunities to really dictate that that's truly the case. I'm going to treat him like a standard reg here. I'm going to defend this out of position for a call, check range on the flop. I'm going to go ahead and stab small with my 3rd pair and low gut shot on the upper left-hand table. We get a half pot bet on the queen-queen 5 two-tone board. I would probably put in a check-raise bluff just here with the backdoor flush draw. Given that he sized up and used a half pot bet, I'm going to give this more credence. Just go ahead and fold it instead, especially when I'm already thinking he might be a little on the passive side. Lower left-hand table, I led the turn small with my gut shot after the flop check through. I get raised a pretty healthy size, especially considering how little is left behind this fishy player that limped the button, so I am just going to get out of the way and fold. Lower left-hand table, opening 7s from the cutoff, using the 28% range. Table seems pretty reg-infested otherwise, though, so I think I'll keep shuffling, trying to find some softer games. Upper left-hand table, going to open 10-8 from the button using the 44% range. This is right around the bottom of my standard button open range. Lower left-hand table, my cutoff open with the 7s gets 3-bet by the small blind and 3-bet to a small size, just over 3x. I think that size is too small, though some players do it. I'm, of course, going to be continuing with my pocket pairs against that small size, even if I don't know that that player is aggressive. Lower right-hand table, opening queen, jack from the cutoff using the 28% range. Upper left-hand table, open the cutoff again with the 28% range. This time I've got 9s. Great flop for me, lower left-hand table, 9-7-5 two-tone. He bets into me strong, 70 into 80, almost full pot. I'm going to continue for a call with my pocket 7s. Going to have various straight draws, flush draws as well in that spot. Lower right-hand table got called in position, so I will be checking range. It's an 8-5-4 two-tone board. I've got no piece, no backdoor draw, so just going to go ahead and check fold. He bets again. He bets almost full pot. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and jam all in, not let that board get any scarier, and force him to pay me off with his overpair or strong top pair, whatever equity he has. He's got queens. I'm way ahead. My hand is good. Had he bet smaller, I would have kept floating, but when he bets me so large there, I'm going to take a lot of my calls out of the range and just kind of jam or fold, just because it's not really going to let me draw all that often there against that size with so little left behind me. Upper right-hand table, opening queen 10 from the cutoff, using a 28% range. And I'm going to hit him, run him on that table too, as I was already planning to move myself on out of there. Upper right-hand table, after I open the queen 10, a weak reg-ish type player. He's limped. He's got a lot of pre-flop calls as well, it looks like, and he's playing a little bit short, playing about 80 blinds deep. All that adds up to, if not a true fish, at least a weaker reg. So I'll keep that in mind, assuming I get post-flop here, which of course I don't. As soon as I speak it, I jinx myself and speak it into existence as the big blind squeezes me, and I've got no choice but to fold my queen 10. No good choice but to fold my queen 10, that is. I could do whatever the hell I want, but not folding queen 10 there seems like a punt. Lower right-hand table, opening sixes under the gun, using an 18% range. Upper left-hand table is breaking as well, with the recreational players shuffling themselves on out. Get a 2.5x open from the button. I'll defend my big blind for a call with ace-10. I probably don't like to 3-bet this too much. I suppose you could. I think calling's a little bit better, though. We'll check range on the flop. I got a gut shot on the king, queen, 5 two-tone board. Upper right-hand table opening ace-6 suited from middle position using 21% range. Upper left-hand table, he checks through. Turn is a 7 of hearts, flush closer. I'm going to jab at it with my gut shot. River is a 4th heart. I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a bluff. I'm going to use the large size here with no heart. Just overbet him. He doesn't going to have too many strong hearts that can call down. Lower right-hand table, I get 3-bet a large size out of the big blind in a tight formation, so I'm just going to go ahead and fold my sixes. Upper left-hand table, blind on blind, going to open ace-7 using a 45% range. Getting 9-6-5 two-tone board, I will check range to him. I do have a gut shot to go with my ace-high. He bets 2/3. Interesting. I'm actually going to be a bit tighter and fold there because of the size up, and I just don't have any like backdoors to go with it. If I had a pair with the gut shot, backdoor flush draw, something like that, never fold. I'm going to err on the side of caution there, though. Out of position, it's very tough for me to handle those out of position spots. Got some awkward stack size in that new lower left-hand table. That looks like a promising start. We'll see how they actually play, but I like what I see so far, better than all 100 blind stacks that are fresh at a table that just screams Reg City. It looks like that 5-seat open limped under the gun, too, which, in case I wasn't already pretty convinced based on this 50 blind stack that I'm dealing with the wreck, the open limp gives much more credence to my theory. Upper left-hand table has a funky stack, about 65 blinds on the button as well, on the 1 seat, so we'll take a look and see, but I like what I see so far. Which is good, because the upper right-hand table does not seem so promising anymore. Whatever rec I had has disappeared. I forget what city was in, but nobody there looks to be recreational any longer. Based on the stack sizes from the newer guys and the stats and tendencies from the guys I've played a few orbits with. 7-4 suited on the button, just outside of standard open range for me. Pretty close. I typically fold it, but opening can't be too bad, especially if you have passive players or fishy players in the blinds, which would make it even better. Upper right-hand table, going to open ace-9 from the cutoff using a 28% range. Upper right-hand table, I get a 3x open under the gun. I'm in middle position with queen 10 suited, especially against that size. Queen 10 a little bit too loose to be 3-betting in this formation. Pretty close, but I think folding's a bit better, but very, very cuspy. I tend to fold a few suited broadways there, like jack 10, queen 10, maybe king 10 as well, and 3-bet the rest of them. Like I said, very, very close. Your mileage may vary for how you want to approach that spot. Lower left-hand table, I get a 3x open, blind on blind. I have king 4 suited. That's one of the hands I'm currently using as my smattering of suited cards that go in my blind versus blind 3-bet range. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the 3-bet there with king 4. 3-betting 17, 18%, very, very loose in this loosest of all possible formations. Go ahead and rec tag the couple of guys that are playing on the shorter stacks as well, in case they double up and I don't notice that. I don't want to lose track of the fact that these guys were playing 45 to 65 blinds deep, you know, which is almost always a very telltale indicator, at least at these stakes, that these are not serious regulars. Lower left-hand table, we get a min raise from the cutoff. I'm in the button with my queen 10 suited, which of course is going to be 3-bet, especially against the min raise. Going to be very aggressive again in this loose formation. Probably 3-betting 14% or more here against the min raise. A little bit tighter if he uses a larger size, but suited broadways, of course, are going to be more or less automatic 3-bets in this spot. Upper left-hand table, going to open ace-jack from the cutoff using a 28% range. Get a rec tag there on the small blind, playing about 75 blinds deep. Button calls me in position. Small blind comes along as well. I'm sandwiched between a couple of players multi-way, so I'll be checking my range. Got overcards and a weak backdoor four-card flush draw with that jack of clubs on the 8-5-3 two-tone club board. Flop checks through, the board stays low, the turn is an offsuit 10. I do have overcards for some potential outs here, and I'm also going to just go ahead and take a stab at this, thinking nobody's shown any strength yet, so they're probably not going to be showing too much heart if I start piling chips into this board. Don't expect the in-position player to check back sets very often. Guess you could have some 10x. Also have some middling pairs like 6s, 7s, 4s that call at least one bet, but might roll over to another. Although it's also tough for him to do that when the in-position player is there. Now, he goes ahead and check calls. That's a board pairing river, which makes my ace-high relatively stronger than it would be on a run-out that doesn't have any pairs. I also don't think he really folds too many pairs, and my ace-high has a bit of showdown against other draws. So I'm not going to go ahead and follow through. I'm just going to take my showdown with ace-high. I'm chopping against ace-jack. I lost my rec on the upper left-hand table, too. It's hard to keep these guys around for a long time this session, unfortunately. We can certainly get rid of that table, though. Everyone else seems to be very reggy, and the fish is gone very fast. Blind on blind on the upper left-hand table, facing the 3x open. I'm going to go ahead and defend for a call with my offsuit connector, 7-6. Flop okay with a hand, 10-10-6, 2 tons. I've got a pair. He goes ahead and checks. I'm going to stab for half pot. Can get value from ace high, random draws, backdoor draws. Also deny equity from overcards that are very live against my pair of sixes, but really don't want to put any money in at the same time. Lower left-hand table, open ace 4 from the button. My stab got called on the upper left-hand table. Turn is an 8, gives me a gut shot to go with my now third pair on the 10-10-6-8 double flush draw board. I will check back. Good river for me, the 9, my gut shot comes in. I'll be looking to either value bet or bluff catch here if he bets into me for the most part. Lower left-hand table, got a cutoff open, a fishy player on the button, pops him up from 12.50 to 30, playing 230 bucks deep. I'm just going to go ahead and fold that. I'm playing cold 4-better fold, and there's no reason to get involved with ace-jack. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some value here after he checks on me on that 4 straight. Lower right-hand table, get a min-raise from a fishy player on the button, small blind calls. I will call close in the action on my big blind with pocket 4s and check range. Now, I get checked raised. I just don't really think the check raises are all that bluffy from what I've seen. I don't know. Maybe I should have not tried to value bet that, but that doesn't seem right. I don't think these guys are really turning hands into check raise bluffs here. He could have full houses type hands. He could have backed into a diamond flush. He could have queen jack. I'm actually going to go ahead and fold this, giving this guy credit for a legitimate hand, not having nearly enough bluffs there. Feels a little greasy to fold that, but I think it's the move. It's not like I can't be stronger there myself as well. Lower left-hand table just got a new player in the 4-suit who bought in for 50 blinds. That's another promising start. Upper left-hand table will open ace-10 from middle position using a 21% range. Instantly get 3-bet, and I will be folding my ace-10. Upper right-hand table, new to the table, although it looks reggy, I'm going to jump back out. I just got trapped in my big blind. I will open my button with king-9 using the 44% range. 3-bet from the small blind, and one of my weaker hands in my open range will go straight into the muck. Get a 3x open from middle position by a player playing 60 blinds deep. Another fishy player playing 50 blinds deep flats him in position. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up. I'm going to stack off jacks or better here. I'm not really going to have too many pre-flop bluffs just because I really can't afford to fold too much against the guy if he comes along. Really only doing that about 5-6%. I get a queen 6-4 two-tone board. Going to go ahead and put in a small range bet and just plan to get the money all in against this guy after that with my top pair top kicker. He calls. Turn is an offsuit 3, so we get a queen 6-4 3 flush draw board. Going to go ahead and jam all in for it looks like about 2/3 of pot, 172 into 283. Let's do it. And he folds out. Lower right-hand table, I open fours from the cutoff using a 28% range. A recreational player comes along in the big blind. If and when he gets around to checking to me, I'll go ahead and stab at that board small with my entire range, mostly checking the turn unless I hit a 4. Still waiting for Godot on the lower right-hand table. He eventually check calls. Turn is a queen, putting a backdoor flush draw up there, and I'm going to go ahead and check back my 4s. Not a whole lot of equity, really only drawing to 2 outs, that third 4, and even then it makes a potential straight to 6-7 or ace deuce. Much rather keep the pot small with this particular hand. River is a jack of spades that is a flush closing card. I'm going to go ahead and put in a bluff raise against his little small lead here when overcards peeled, flushes got made. Yeah, I don't think he's very strong, but I just don't know that I can call down with my 4. He could have 5x, he could have 10x. And he's going to fold a lot after that little stupid weak river lead, so let's take the pot away from him. And it worked. Lower right-hand table, a new player. He either posts or open limps from the cutoff, but playing about 30-some blinds deep. I'm pretty sure he's a wreck either way. Going to go ahead and check my big blind with king 4 and check range on the flop. We have an ace-7 deuce two-tone board. I have the king of clubs giving me the backdoor 4-card flush draw. Get led into for about 75%. I'm just going to go ahead and fold my king 4 in that spot on the lower right-hand table. I'm going to open my ace-king under the gun. On the lower left-hand table, using an 18% range. Recreational player playing about 30 blinds deep, 30, 35 blinds deep, comes along for a call in the cutoff. Big blind folds out, so we're heads up. I'm going to check range to the in-position player. I got a queen 9-7 two-tone board. I do have the ace of hearts giving me the backdoor flush draw. 4-card flush draw. However, he bets 2/3. That board's pretty coordinated. No reason to bluff this guy when he uses that large a size. No reason to get involved in a board that coordinated. We've got so many better hands like pairs, sets, 2 pairs, over pairs, open-ended straight draws, flush draws. I got all kinds of stuff with a ton of equity. My ace-king can just get out of the way. I've got a hand like ace, queen, king, queen. I'm going to check raise and try to get the money in against that guy right away before he wisens up or before he gets scared away on a bad card. Four-seat open limps to cutoff. I'll check my big blind with 10 deuce and check range on the flop. He checks around the 5-4-3 rainbow board. Turn is a 3, pairing the board, putting a backdoor flush draw. I can go ahead and stab for the minimum. I do have an open-ended straight draw. River is a king. I bust out, but no reason to give up with 10 high, so I'm going to go ahead and put in another bluff. No need to overbet bluff a fish when they're in position. A regular size bet is going to work just fine, and it works in this particular case as well, which makes me happy. Lower right-hand table, get a min raise from the cutoff. I'm in the button with pocket king, so I will, of course, be 3-betting that. 3-betting very aggressively in this loose formation, especially against that min raise size, which should make his open range a bit wider and looser. 3-betting about 14%. I get 4-bet. He goes from 35 to 95. I think that's appropriate size, about 2.7x. That looks pretty good. When I face that 4-bet from the cutoff here against a reg, I'm going to move all in with my kings and my ace-king. Call with queens through nines, a few of the suited Broadway cards, and aces as a trap. Kings, well, very strong, are more vulnerable than aces, so I don't want to trap with them, but I will ship them all in over the 4-bet and force him to show up with better, which will be very, very hard for him to do. Lower left-hand table, going to open ace-5 suited from the button, using a 44% range. Get called by the small blind. Probably a little bit fishy calling the small blind against a button open. Hasn't shown himself to be fishy quite yet, but that play is awful suspect in my opinion. We're going to go ahead and bet him small with my entire range after he checks. We have a queen, jack, deuce, two-tone board. I've got no real piece of it quite yet, but could pick up a gut shot or something like that on a variety of cards. 3, a 4, a 10. Turn is the offsuit 4 giving me the gut shot. I'm going to play overbet or check because he shouldn't have too much in the way of queens or jacks here. I bet he's going to have a lot of middling pocket pairs, you know, 3s up through 10s type stuff that didn't hit a set on the flop and didn't 3-bet pre-flop. I am going to start piling some chips in on this guy. I'm going to overbet here, put some pressure on his perceived to be kind of weakish capped range. He comes along for the call, quickly calls again. The river is a queen, pairs up the board. I don't really want to be surrendering here, as I just don't think I'm good very often with ace high. I don't need to overbet. I think I can just use a more standard type size here. If I had some better removal of the queen, I might just overbet all in. I'm going to use a 2/3 type size. Try to scare off something like pocket eights, which he quickly folds. Maybe he had some kind of draw I was good against anyway that called the turn, folded the river, and my bluff was unnecessary. But I just think showing down ace-5 there is probably a little bit too ambitious, expecting it to be good very often. Lower right-hand table, 2.25x open from the cutoff. I'm sitting in my big blind with queen 10 suited, getting ready to 3-bet him. Should nobody else do anything drastic that changes my idea. The button has other plans, however, and puts in a 3-bet. I'm not going to be playing cold 4-bet or fold in this situation. I can cold 4-bet jacks or better to get them in my opinion. Let's see here. Probably about a 50-50 ratio of hands that will 4-bet and fold to a jam and hands that will 4-bet and call off. And I think queen 10 is a little too loose. Going to have a few too many combos if I put that in there. So I will fold that one instead. Lower right-hand table no longer seems to be all that promising, so I'm going to move myself out of there. The upper right-hand table doesn't look all that good either, but I'm fresher to it, so I'm not quite as sure of what's going on there yet. Lower right-hand table will be opening ace-6 from the button using a 44% range. Lower left-hand table got a couple of limps from the cutoff and button. I'll check my big blind with jack-6. Checks around on the ace-8-5 rainbow board. Turn is a 4, putting the backdoor flush draw out there. I'm going to go ahead and stab for the minimum with my gut shot and probably follow through on the river most of the time here. No need, as they both quickly fold. Lower right-hand table, get an 876 two-tone board. He checks to me, and in position, I'll go ahead and bet small with my entire range. That's not really correct on a board like that, but for the most part, I'm not really punished for doing that kind of thing, and it makes my hands a lot easier to play, so I'm going to continue doing it until the pool really shifts and gives me a reason to do something different. He check calls, turn is an offsuit 3. I'm going to go ahead and check back, as the 6 is a pretty weak hand, but does have some showdown value against all kinds of draws that could bust out on the river. Or I could hit trip 6s and give myself a nice strong hand to try to get some value with instead. He goes and he bets into me. He bets about 75%, 30 into 41. I'm going to go ahead and raise. I can have some bluff raises here in this spot, especially in a looser formation in a board where he's likely going to have a lot of whips, and he didn't use all that large a sizing. I can also have some value, like my 6s I backed into trips with, so I'm going to go ahead and put in a nice raise, looking to get hero called if he's got something like 8x, 7x, pocket 9s, just something that he gets suspicious about if he thinks I'm just trying to move him off of a thinner value bet and I'm not repping very much. If he reships on me, it gets real dicey. I'm not very happy with life under such circumstances. But I do think trying to get some value here is the way to go. Upper left-hand table, I open middle position with Queen Jack. An in-position player comes along for a 3-bet and then a cold 4-bet from the small blind, so I am miles out of that pot there with a hand like Queen Jack. My nice big raise on the lower right-hand table does get called down after he stops and thinks about it. He ends up calling me down with Jack 8. Just put me on some kind of bluff raise there, obviously. Which isn't necessarily wrong to do, but I like it. I get some big value there with my mashing the pot button, pot size re-raise with my trips top kicker. Lower left-hand table, opening King Jack from the cutoff, using a 28% range. Let's see. We're multi-way, a couple of recreational players. I get led into for a min bet, 5 into 35. I've got an Ace King 3 two-tone board with second pair. I'm just going to go ahead and flat that and reevaluate the turn. Now he goes and he leads into me for half pot. I will continue calling against a fish. I don't love that it's an ace-high board. But I do think for that kind of sizing, I can't be that, where you can have various draws and gut shots. Now he bets 20 into 88, which just makes this a very trivial call down for that price. He's got ace-5, so he's got a nice strong hand. He should really bet bigger, try to get more value, but I'm not going to be folding to that little stupid river size. No way, no how. Especially against a fish. Get a 2.25x open from the under the gun player and the upper right-hand table. Ace-Jack, probably a little too loose to 3-bet, right on the cusp. I opt to fold it, but it's pretty close. Lower left-hand table, we get a recreational player limps the cutoff. Another rec-type player pops him up on the button to 25 bucks. I'm in the big blind with 9-8 suited against a 5x raise. I'm not going to be calling. I don't want to 3-bet this hand either, so I like fold better than the other two options, which just don't seem all that great to me. Upper right-hand table, going to open ace-king under the gun using an 18% range. Lower left-hand table, we get a min raise from the cutoff. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet from the button with my king-10 suited. 3-betting very aggressively in this loose formation against a min raise, probably something like 14%. We get a cold call from a player who I already was a little bit suspicious of in the small blind. Now I get 4-bet as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and get out of the way with my king-10. But I'm okay with the 3-bet. It just doesn't always work. But I still think it's a very plus EV, profitable winning play. Lower right-hand table, min raise from the middle position, cut off 3-bets. I will play cold 4-bet or fold from my small blind and fold my pocket 7s. Might have tried to sneak in there against the min raise with the 7s, especially if I thought a fish might have been involved in the pot in some way. Which I did have at this table earlier, but seem to have lost. Lower left-hand table will open queen-9 suited from middle position using a 21% range. Lower right-hand table will fold my button with jack-9 suited against the middle position, 2.5x open. A little too loose to go ahead and 3-bet that one. The lower left-hand table got called by recreational players playing about 40 blinds deep on both the button and small blind, waiting for the big blind's decision. I flopped great the second nut flush on the king-jack-7 two-tone board. I will check range to the in-position player here, sandwich between multiple guys, or sandwich between players in a multi-way pot is a better way to say that. Now he goes and blasts pot, 40 into 80. He's got just over a pot-sized bet left behind him. I'm just going to go ahead and check jam. I don't want him to slow down. I don't want to let another spade peel. I think this guy's going to get overly involved with hands, especially after he bets the flop large. So I'm just going to go ahead and check jam my flush. He calls off with a marginal top pair, king-9. No additional draws, no spade, no straight draw. And I pick up his stack. Thank you very much. Lower right-hand table, or let's see, lower right-hand table, get a 3x open from the button. I'm going to go ahead and fold my queen 3 suited just outside of standard defense range against a button 3x open. I really call queen 4 and fold queen 3. Lower left-hand table, get a 3x open from what's effectively the cutoff, and I will defend my big blind this time with 7-6 suited and check range on the flop. Lower right-hand table, I'll open blind on blind with the 8s using the 44% range. He goes ahead and bets 2/3 on the king-6 deuce. I've got second pair with the backdoor flush draw. I'll be calling that and checking the turn. Good turn for me, having picked up a backdoor flush draw. Lower, let's see, he barrels again, 25 into 69. I've got the pair and the draw. Definitely going to check call that. Lower right-hand table, we get a 3-bet there, blind on blind. I will call with my 8s and check range on the flop. Against the triple barrel, I will fold. I was really looking to hit another 6 or a spade there to check jam on the lower left-hand table. Don't get it, so I'll fold out. I flop essentially the nuts. I flop the world 8-7-7 top full house. He goes ahead and bets small. I'm going to go ahead and check call. Turn is an ace, which can put him in an awful lot of trouble if he actually hit that ace, as now he's drawing pretty damn close to dead, and likely thinks that card improved him if he hit the ace, or he could at least rep it even if he doesn't have it. Upper right-hand table, going to open my pocket fives from the cutoff using the 28% range. I'm going to go ahead and check jam here on that ace card now for a little bit less than pot. Lower left-hand table, going to open 9-6 suited from the button using the 44% range. Upper right-hand table, the big blind comes along. I flop second set on the queen 5-3. Monotone board, though. I'll go ahead and range bet him small. Upper left-hand table, I get a 2.25x open. I will defend my big blind against that. I'm going to go ahead and defend for a call with 9-8. Lower left-hand table can go ahead and range bet against the check there on the queen 3 deuce board. Upper left-hand table, we get a blank card, a 6, offsuit 6. Can go ahead and continue barreling with my set. Upper left-hand table, checking range on the flop. I've got second pair and a backdoor flush draw on the queen 9 deuce rainbow board. Face a small bet. We'll check call with the 9-8 on the upper left-hand table. Continue checking on the turn. Mostly check folding. The turn card's not great for me. Even though the jack would make me gut shot for me, it's going to be the low end to a 4-card straight. Not where I really want to be. I think it's about time to shut the session down as well, so I'm going to shut down when the blinds come around again. Feel like it went pretty well so far, though. Looks like I'm under the gun and folded on all 3 tables, so that's the end of the session. Until next time, this is Charlie Murphy signing off. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I sure enjoyed making it. I'll see you all next time.